let's start again. And there we are. So can you hear me properly now? Is that good, Lena?
It's great.
Super. Okay. So, Lena, I know that you're very, very active and dynamic. I was fascinated to see on your internet site that you've published practically 10 articles during the COVID period, helping everybody to get through this, both from the psychological side of it, but also from a practical side of it. So my first question would really be is, what have you seen as being the main challenges during the COVID period?
That's a really good question. I'll start with just saying my name is Lena Rekdal. I'm at Nimmersion in Sweden. We're a global mobility firm that was founded 25 years ago. So we do immigration and relocation. And just like you said, having a company during COVID-19 is much more than just an immigration practice or relocation practice. It's a lot about how you work. How can you handle the situation as a company? How can you help your clients and get everybody sort of moving forward and to have some hope? And that goes from having practical, like I shared with you, work from home. How do you do your remote work, strategies around video conferencing, etc. But the way I would say how Sweden has been handling COVID has been different from every other country. So that has been interesting. And that's why we have been a lot more in the limelight than I think we would normally have as a small country in the north of Europe. It's been very much business as usual. We haven't seen any exceptions or provisions by government agencies to sort of take COVID-19 into perspective. This is especially true for the migration. So while we have asked the migration agency since February, what will you do if somebody doesn't report to work within 4 months, right? And this has been also earlier a cause of friction for companies that have project-based business in Sweden. A project may not necessarily start exactly on the date it was anticipated or within the 4-month window that you have. And it has caused evictions. So, which is why we are very much aware of this and we work closely with our clients. And now we have a 3-month travel ban behind us. We're anticipating that Sweden will, just like the rest of Europe, probably will extend the travel ban to July 1st. Which means it will be 3.5 months, which sort of closes that very, very short window for work permit holders that got their permits before February 1st. So we're working closely.
So right now they're not putting in place like a lot of other countries, including France, have done, where you've got the extension on your visas or your permits automatically.
No.
So
what you have, I know. It is interesting, but it's the way the legal system is set up, and it's so they can't make exceptions. The Swedish Migration Agency is actually a very reasonable, professional agency, and I have to really pat them on the back from being super professional. They have also worked from home like everybody else. They've kept their timelines throughout this whole situation, which is amazing. It's just they've been so good. They've been really fast at responding to questions. So we have a great working relationship with them. And I have to say they're very professional. So it's not the migration agency, it's really the government that would have been able to possibly do something. I know most of European countries have extended automatically work permits for 3 to 6 months, but that has probably also been to respond to the fact that they've closed down their agencies, and a lot more is done physically. You visit offices, and you don't really do that here.
No.
So here it's online, and it has been for at least 10 years, if not longer.
Yes, you're very much the precursors of the European immigration in that perspective, because while I see, across Europe, most countries have a mix now. Certainly, I think that COVID has brought into like the fact that the governments are going to have to set up more and more online systems for everybody, that's what works. But it's not yet there in most countries, and a lot of us it's regional as well. Marco Macheski was telling me all the regional differences in Italy, and yes, it's quite amazing. It's quite amazing. What about consulates for Sweden? Are they open? Are they functioning?
For the most part, I know that the Shanghai consulate was closed for a while and it's now opened up and it's fully operational. Some countries are more closed than others, so it depends on how close they are, I would say. But they should be fairly operational. We haven't had much pushback on that.
That's good. That's very good. So what would generally be, it sounds as though it's running so smoothly that perhaps no advice is really needed, but what would generally be your advice right now for best practices during this period, let's say for the next sort of 6 months, to ensure companies that their employees arrive in time for project work in Sweden?
Yeah, I think that it's hard to have a best practice because it's sort of a macro situation that we can't do much about. But I think keep a very close eye on the travel ban.
Yes.
And the travel restrictions. And as soon as the Swedish borders open again, many countries have been more generous with first-time work permit holders. If they can only travel, they can come in and they can start working. While Sweden has only allowed people that are already on work permit and have a residence here and has also started working already to return. So you can only return, you can't come here for the first time. And that's where the 4-month rule becomes difficult, because if you had reported to work and you were on an extension and maybe you went home for, I don't know, Chinese New Year's or something, yes. I don't know what it could be, but then you could return, maybe yes. with quarantine. Now we know more about this, but generally speaking, anyone who was already on a work permit in Sweden was allowed to re-enter. But for companies that had people that were new hires that's where we've seen the problems. And, you know, first it was just 1 month, then it was 2, then it's 3, then it's 3.5. So I'm guessing that we've been monitoring this in the office. So we're in close contact with our clients. And we've also seen a lot of companies push forward the start date.
Yes.
So while they initially thought maybe May 1st was realistic, they have, you know, postponed it to 15th of May or the 1st of July. Mm-hmm. So I think most of our clients are still within the limits, so it will work well for them. The other thing about Sweden is that it's very, the terms of employment must be adhered to, or you run the risk of an eviction. So it's very important to listen closely to your immigration provider and not forget to take vacation and to sign up for necessary insurances. Sweden loves insurances, and we have 4 insurances mandatory for work permit holders.
Yes.
But if you just go through the motions and follow the protocol, you should be fine.
Yes.
Compliance. And we sort of take people through that, and we have developed systems to check along the way, because it seems very straightforward when you do it every day, but it isn't straightforward if you have, you know, if you're a tech startup and you have a lot of things to do that sort of goes beyond thinking about the teeny tiny insurance, for instance. Of course. We're there to support them.
Of course, compliance I feel should anyway always be in place, but I feel that with the COVID, compliance is something which is becoming more and more important. It's absolutely essential that foreign companies respect totally in-country compliance.
Yeah, it is.
As such. Lena, thank you so much. This has been really interesting. I wish you a very good day.
Thank you so much for having me.
To pick up again soon later.
We will. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. There we are. Let's just I'm just stopping that.
Oh, good.